She's weird. Questions of my life. It's mom questions of my life.
Oh, it does too. There it is. I can hear it. It needs a little bit more gain. And it's hard to tell. Well, it's pretty loud right there, isn't it?
This morning?
Yes.
Good. My name is Tanya Romine, and I am a member of this congregation and your worship associate today. On behalf of the Reverend Dave Dunn, intern minister Liz Martin, director of religious exploration Lexi T. Brown, our music director Alex Peach, excuse me, the Chalice Choir, the greeters, and our lovely technical team making today's live stream possible, I would like to welcome you to Unitarian Universalist Metro Atlanta North Congregation, which we lovingly call UUMAN. UUMAN is a liberal faith community with a mission to nurture our spirit, strive for justice, and transform the world. No matter who you are, who you love, where you are on your spiritual journey, you are all welcome here. Welcome to those that are joining us remotely. For any visitors who are here for the first time, if you are comfortable in doing so, if you would stand and tell us your name and where you are from so that we can get to know you a little better. Do I have any visitors on my left? Come on. Welcome, Fran. Welcome, John. Nice to have you. Welcome, Joe. Very nice to have you. Very nice to see you, Lori. Do we have anyone else, left or right? Left. There you are. Welcome, Lori. It's very nice to have you. Thank you for coming. So today's announcements. Today our program is being brought to you by the Earth Ministry. There will be sustainable resources related to the service available on the portico after service, including a clothing swap and low-waste shampoo and soap bars. We have several adult enrichment offerings during second hour, which is just after the service. They are listed in your order of worship, along with the youth RE schedule and some upcoming human events. We need volunteers for a spring spruce up of our buildings and grounds. Please join us on April 26th at 9 a.m. to help with things like washing windows and screens, tidying sheds, and cutting bamboo. Any help you can provide is welcome and very much appreciated. Our next UU 101 course will be held after service during second hour on April 27th and as well on May 4th. The course is designed for people who are new to UUMAN and want to learn more about us. To register, please scan the QR code at the greeter's desk right out there. And Lynn, as well as Rosie, are you in here? Okay, Rosie was our greeter this morning, so if you have any questions, please see Rosie.
We know it's never too soon to choose hope. We choose to do more than cope with climate change. We choose to end it. We refuse to lose. Together we do this and more, not because it's very easy or nice, but because it's necessary. Because with every dawn, we carry the weight of the fate of this celestial body orbiting a star. And as heavy as that weight sounded, it doesn't hold us down. But it keeps us grounded, steady, ready, because any environmental movement of this size is simply another form of an Earthrise.
The animal parade.
read a nature poem. The Thing is Green by Peggy Gifford. The thing is green, and the green is green, and by green I mean real mean green. I mean electric eel green, alligator, iguana, anaconda green. I mean this thing has got all things green. It's got green turtles and turtle green ponds, and grasshoppers springing from groomed green lawns, and a green tree frog on a girl's left arm. It's got dark and dangerous greens, greens you've never even seen greens. Ocean floor greens, tornado sky greens, tiger's eye greens, eat your broccoli greens. Watermelon sparkling in the sun greens, way beyond evergreen. This thing leaves green geckos on green leaves, feeling green, and green moss in the green dark, and praying mantises on their thin green knees. It's a great and gorgeous green, a light bright, just right, watch it grow, it says go, shade of green. Have you guessed yet? Do you need another clue? Think rolling waves of grain green, thick arms of vines climbing tall green trees, mountains and mountains of green billions of waves reaching out of dark green seas, all wrapped in one green ball and hung an ornament in the sky. What a thing it must be to see the whole green thing floating by. It's true, the thing is green, except when it's blue.
Remember, the way you treat the earth today affects the way my generation's children will live. Think about it. We, the people of this congregation, do a lot more as a whole than other people. However, we can still do so much more. Some who are a part of the older generations are probably the ones who drilled these massive problems in the first place. I say drilled because these generations excelled in industrial fields, but in terms to the environment, my generation is screwed. Most people buy aluminum cans, but those can take up to 500 years to fully decompose. That is what we've done. Created a society that is okay with throwing the food you didn't eat out the window of the car. Think of all the groceries you've bought your entire life. All the packaging during the holidays, or when you get your kitchen renovated. All of that is why the children of today are protesting for the earth, just so it doesn't get pushed off its axis. So in 9 days, we celebrate what a lot of us already do, thankfully, which is treating our earth with respect and gratitude.
Let us now greet one another with the hand or elbow of friendship.
seats as you're out your order of worship. We're going to learn a little bit of a chorus that you're going to join in singing with our choir this morning. It goes, in hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. Here we go. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. Excellent. The next part is, in hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. Let's do the whole chorus together. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. We rise, our lowly hearted rise, won't be divided, rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here, and we rise. All of the children rise. Elders with wisdom rise. Ancestors surround us, rise, rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here, and we rise up from the wreckage, rise with tears and with courage, rise fighting for life, we rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here.
We light this chalice for the earth, of which we are all a part of. We pledge to care for what it needs and hold it in our heart. At this point in our service, we share our joys with each other to magnify them and our sorrows to divide the weight of the pain. If you are so moved, please feel free to come forward and say your name and drop a pebble right here into the bowl and express a joy or a sorrow that you may have. For those of you attending via live stream, if you will please type your joy or sorrow in the chat that you would like to share this morning. Anyone?
I'm a member of this congregation. I have a pebble of joy from my friend Kevin in Florida. Kevin has really been struggling the last year. He had a manic episode last year. This year he's been incredibly depressed and really declining 2 Fridays ago, he couldn't even get out of bed, and his wife insisted that he go to the ER. Well, long story short, a CT and an MRI, and 4 hours later, he was in surgery to remove a 3-inch tumor that was pressing on his frontal lobe. So he has a new lease on life, and these are the kinds of things that you read about, but this actually happened to a friend of mine, so I have a pebble of joy for today.
Hi everyone, my name's Constance. Unfortunately today I have a sorrow. My grandfather is currently in the hospital. A few months back he had open heart surgery and he's been in and out of the hospital, and now he is back because his hemoglobin level has dropped yet again, and we're hoping that he is going to come out of it soon, but we're gonna have to wait and see.
I'm Miriam Patanian, and I have a few today. My first joy is that I just got my kitchen remodeled. I guess it's also a concern. My second joy is our family just got back from North Carolina for spring break, and we got to connect with a couple of incredible people in our life. One of them was a neighbor for several years here in Roswell, and she and her family moved 6-7 years ago, and we got to stay with them and spend time with them, and it was wonderful. And the other person is a college roommate of mine and the woman who married John and me 20 and a half years ago. And she's now a recently tenured professor at Duke's seminary, and is, it was just incredible to see her and to have the kids meet her and all of that. We had not seen her since the wedding, so that was a joy. And the final is a pebble of concern for a friend. Jennifer Philippi, who's a member of this congregation, her husband Kyle, and their daughter Kira went skiing over spring break, and Kyle took a horrible fall and shattered his ankle. He had a surgery there while they were still at the resort, whatever, Jackson Hole, and he's now home and is going to have more surgeries. So just keep their family in your thoughts. They may be reaching out to Care Circle for all the things. Kyle is all things of the home, so they may need some meals.
So I'm going to share a sorrow, but it's tinged with joy. I've updated y'all frequently over the past couple of years about my mother's journey. About a month ago, she fell and broke her hip and arm, which required surgery in the hospital, and she came home with pneumonia and COVID. We've begun hospice care for my mother. That's the sorrow. The tinge of joy is the opportunity to be with someone as they begin to enter that final phase. Her sister, her 94-year-old sister and nieces came to visit her. I've had members of my family coming to visit, so it's an opportunity to celebrate her life and help her usher into the next stage.
My name is Lisa Kasarka, and I have a pebble of sorrow
for my daughter's grandmother who recently lost her dog, who is 15 and a half, and who has been her companion for many years, especially after her husband passed away.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kennedy, and I will cry if you don't know me. And there's many things going on, but today it's a pebble of joy, and it is for community. See, here it comes. About 6 weeks ago, I had a terrible fall. Horrible. My husband was away. And I went to the ER. It was just my daughter and me. She went and got neighbors. And when I was sitting in the ER all alone, I just casually text my girlfriends. And I'm like, hey, I'm in the ER. Like, LOL. And they immediately were like, who's there with you? And I was like, no one. Where are you? I was like, I don't know. And like got the information. And within 15 minutes, Kelly Callan was in the lobby with crunchy snacks, which my sprained jaw could not eat. Miriam and that whole group just came to help us, and specifically Kelly, who like stayed on our couch to make sure I was okay, and they showed up with food, and I'm usually the one who's there helping others, so to be the receiver of such gratitude and help and love, and all of Davis's, the moms at Primo, like stepped up to help, and I just like such deep gratitude as I navigate a concussion and all of that these people were there without question and with full love in our messy house, giving us what we needed. So I have deep, and especially right now, just the importance of that, of those bonds that we share with each other that show up when we need them most. So this is my pebble of gratitude, especially for that woman right there. So here it is.
Wilson, member of the dedicated live stream team. While I didn't see any live stream updates from today, I did want to have two pebbles. One is a pebble of joy. One of the things that we didn't get to talk about last week was Dirk Bender returning home from the hospital. He's actually recovering now, so if you've not seen or heard about that, he's also a member of the dedicated live stream team. We miss him to bits. Dirk, if you're out there watching, please just know that we're thinking about you. So it's for Dirk. And the second is more of a personal nature, a pebble of concern. So my wife, Denise Wilson, also a member here, has been battling a lot of fatigue post-surgery. And she's recovering very slowly. She felt good enough to get out and do some planting yesterday in honor of thinking about Earth Day. She scratched her cornea. So yeah, it's awesome. So she's still recovering. Anyway, a pebble of concern, please keep her in your thoughts and prayers.
Hi, my name is Alex Peach, and I'm the music director here at church. A couple weeks ago, I announced that I would be seeing a surgeon with my neck. I see the surgeon for my second visit tomorrow, and I'm going to have an ACDF probably. And basically what that means is that they go in and they clean everything up and they take everything out and they fuse and put stuff in there and fuse it back together, and it will no longer be punching on my nerves and my spinal cord. So that's probably the route that they're going to take. I talked to a couple people and they're like, you've got this. And Valerie, I just want to say thank you very much, because Valerie had this surgery umpteen years ago. And just they do things a lot differently now. So just please keep me in your thoughts and prayers, and just for everything to go well so that I can be back conducting with my head always and ever, forever again. Thank you.
I'm going to drop one final pebble for all those joys and sorrows that are too tender to escape the folds of our hearts. Am I on? Let us keep one another in our thoughts for the coming week.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What a joy it is now to hear the birds and feel the sun, to wake to the awakening of spring. As a student of history, I try to understand the origin of things, and as an activist, I search for a way to strike at the root of problems. Such as this endeavor. In 1968 was a hard year, a defining one for me, but through all the national tragedy of that year, there was one shining image. On the way to the moon, the look back with a camera captured the Earth in its beauty, in all its beauty and fragility. In that instance, we discovered the Earth in its totality for the first time, and were given clarity of our place in the larger order of things. The first Earth Day was organized in 1970. I was a college student, distracted by the Vietnam War, as was the nation. My girlfriend came home muddy, having waded Turkey Creek, pulling trash, making visible another war raging. Even Richard Nixon saw and responded to the urgency of the climate crisis. The crisis began 40,000 years earlier when a new species entered the previously hidden garden. Archaeologists say the plains of North America once offered a greater abundance of large animals than the Serengeti today. The clever travelers came with crude technology that gave them advantage. The history we know best began with Columbus, and later in 1607 with the English in Virginia. From this beginning would come the Declaration of Independence, the Emancipation Proclamation, the first in flight, the defeat of fascism, the Marshall Plan, NATO, national parks, discovery of the human genome, so much that we can take pride in. But the shadow followed the American path as well. What history often presents as a tale of glory was a violent clash of cultures. The indigenous versus the immigrant, the welfare of all versus the individual, and the lust for gold. Capitalism arrived with the boats. The wealthy few claimed the best land and sustained their greed with slaves. Miles to the north, a few years later, in 1620, the Pilgrims established themselves with a focus on heaven. Blind to the garden they entered. Thus began their starving years. The friendship and wisdom of native people aided their survival, but differences arose when the settlers claimed property. For 15,000 years, 500 nations in the Americas lived without fences. The son of the chief of the Wampanoag people that had befriended the first colonists sought in his time the survival of his people and their way of life. And war came. Ultimately, technology provided the edge. The head of King Philip, the young chief, was proudly displayed for 30 years by those religious people on a pike at the entrance to Plymouth. Thus began the theft and the genocide that would sweep the land. The eastern forests that originally allowed a squirrel to travel the treetops to the Mississippi River were cleared for commerce, and in the south for tobacco and later cotton. In Georgia, when soil fertility faded, planters moved to Alabama, and then Mississippi and Louisiana, and on to Texas. They destroyed the natives before they knew them, natives of every species, the Powhatans, the Creeks, the Cherokee, the red wolf, the passenger pigeons, and the Lord God bird, to name a few. There was no limit to the appetite. We were clever people, but lacking in wisdom, blind to where we were headed. Later, the plows and the poisons and the monocrops became the standard. Living in harmony in the garden as one of many species was not something the drivers of these times considered. Southern plantations took the longleaf pine. Midwestern farmers turned under the tall grass prairies that had sustained buffalo and native peoples for thousands of years. Northern factories and whaling ships saw the land and the seas as opportunities for taking, leaving generations to pay the bill of disappearing diversity, depleted topsoil, poisoned waters, vanishing flora and fauna. Lured by new lands and gold, we pushed west. We destroyed the buffalo to defeat the resistance. We wiped out the passenger pigeon that for thousands of years was the most abundant bird on the planet. We proclaimed our destiny manifest as we subjected all in our path. But we now have come to the crossroads and must decide who we are and what is our guiding star. The paradigm shift is in the hands of we, the people. Our schools did not prepare us for this moment. When I was teaching at Milton, the science department there rejected the idea of climate change. The chilling impact of the Trump administration today makes it hard to even raise the subject. Some of our elders see more clearly and can help us grasp the urgency of these times. Professor E.O. Wilson, teacher of biology at Harvard for 40 years and winner of the Pulitzer Prize, says that humanity doesn't need a moon base. We need an expedition to the Earth, where probably 10% of life forms are known to science. Today, we depend on 4 grains for survival. We depend almost exclusively on one breed of dairy cow, and much of our poultry is the white leghorn. The high price of eggs is a mere glimpse of the challenges we will face in the future. Yet, we destroy the wild with its vast biodiversity of species and possibilities even before we know they exist. The balance is broken. We poison the mosquito to kill the butterfly, but kill the butterfly. We curse the dandelion that disrupts our perfect lawn, forgetting the chemically laden grass is where our children play, and forgetting too that rains carry the poisons to the water. Much of the lifestyle we consider normal is diminishing life and beauty, and much of that lifestyle is promoted by the corporate, political, industrial complex that lives for profit and short-term gain for the few. We are being played, but we are complicit. If lulled to sleep, our Stone Age emotions and our godlike technology will rule. An example is corporate encouragement of composting to deflect focus from the source. 9% of our waste is composted. 100% of the plastics they have created are still here and will be for thousands of years. We do not have to be driven by advertisement to gobble more than we can chew, more than we need, more than can be replaced. If the noise of celebrity and fascists and automobiles and leaf blowers is turned down, we will hear the sound of the wind again. Our homes can become sanctuaries. Native plants, essential for animals and insects, can help with recovery. But with limited knowledge of biology, we often seek the exotic, missing the beauty at our doorstep, then failing to respond when the local treasure is threatened. We do not love it because we never knew it. Mimosa Hall celebrates the mimosa tree because the founders cut down the natives before they knew them and imported exotics in their stead. Invasive plants and animals today are the second greatest cause of extinction. Today, one of our congressional luminaries, Lauren Boebert, and 31 of her Republican cohorts are promoting a bill entitled Pet and Livestock Protection, Pet and Livestock Protection Act of 2025. To put this in perspective, let me back up. Protection of the Act of 2025 that removes the gray wolf from the protection of the Endangered Species Act passed in 1972. To put this in perspective, humans and domesticated animals make up 96% of the mammals on the planet, leaving 4% living in the wild. Domesticated poultry is 70% of the entire bird population. The task before us is to mend the fabric, to recognize the worth of all the pieces, even those like us that can be aggressive. When wolves were introduced to Yellowstone, the riverbanks began to flourish again as the elk were forced to keep moving. With vegetation returning, so did the songbirds and the diversity of plants, and eventually the beavers reestablished the wetlands. We were born into a masterpiece. For thousands of years, our tread was light, but as our appetites grew and the Industrial Revolution became the new order, human footprints sank deeper into the land and waters, laying waste to mountaintops and seabeds, driving entire species to extinction, leaving remnants and garbage. We stripped the Smokies of their ancient trees, the West of her majestic redwoods. We took furs and feathers to feed our vanity. Growth and dollars, clear in the scream, drill baby drill, is the measure of success. But if fossil fuels continue to burn, the temperature will rise and we will burn. We're facing an existential crisis of our own making. For us to change course, a paradigm shift is essential. The current administration is committed to growth and profit for a few, blindly ignoring the realities of a finite planet. Other countries are responding to this crisis. We should shift our attention to places and people offering new direction. The focus of short-term gain is part of a dying system that is being replaced slowly by the emerging circular economy, which emphasizes consuming less, consuming better, with a commitment to systematic change, focusing on building to last and building with parts that can be used again. This new conscious circular green economy will be the future, if there is to be a future. We currently accept what the conglomerates and their advertisers present and silently, privately deal with addictions, health problems, and garbage. We need to flip the script and work in concert and demand products that sustain health and only support brands that do. Advertisers will begin to carry our messages of health, quality, integrity, sustainability, and the brands will compete to supply what we are buying. The leaders that promote this vision and the startups that help build a new foundation are the future and will offer good jobs and great opportunities for those bold enough to step forward. Our work as engaged citizens is to build from the bottom up and the top down. Strategic partnerships will extend our reach. We can become the message that drowns out the noise. We can provide for our children a living world of beauty, wonder, and opportunity. Our success will be the measure of our love. This is no age for spectators. We all have work to do. Begin with your personal life, in your yard, in your community. Be the change you wish to see. Thank you.
dreamed of summer and the winds changed, and the green was easy and the rivers ran clear. I dreamed of summer and the winds changed, and peace spread over the land, and the flowers bloomed in the desert, and the air is fresh and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose and peace spread over the land, and the guardian stars are shining, and the night is bright and clear. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang, and the sound was easy, the song was clear. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang, and peace spread over the land, and the ancient pain is forgotten, and the Father's debts are clear. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang. Peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain and the rains came. I dreamed of rain and the rains came.
In an effort to fulfill and further the vision and mission of this congregation, we ask that our members and friends share their time, treasure, and talents. With this, we will now take the offering. You may also use the Give Now option in the Breeze app. This month's 50/50 recipient is Keep Roswell Beautiful. Any check specifically designated 50/50 or any Breeze donations specifying Give to 50/50 this month will go to their work.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Good morning, my name is Kelly Callan. I'm a member of UUMAN, despite me not having a name tag this morning. It's in my glove compartment. And Earth Ministry for over a decade. Stephen Covey, the American educator, businessman, speaker, and author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, advised to make a change. For 30 days, work only in your circle of influence. Make small commitments and keep them. Be a light, not a judge. Be a model, not a critic. Be part of a solution, not a part of the problem. This is how we can begin to make changes in our personal lives, our families' lives, our communities, and eventually the planet. As you've seen in your order of worship, our Earth Ministry is inviting you to join us in practicing positive changes for ourselves, planet Earth, for the next 30 days. These are all things I'm certain you've heard before and possibly, like myself, have thought, that's great, but will it really make a difference in the long run if I, one person, even my family of 4, recycle all that we can and do everything on this list? The truth is no. None of us can recycle our way out of what is happening to planet Earth. Gus described what we're facing and up against. However, what I would like to share with you this morning are some examples of how humanites have affected not just small changes in their life, but a lot of change by simply making small commitments and keeping them, being a light, not a judge, being a model, not a critic, being part of a solution, not part of the problem. My first example is Marty Harvey. Many of you will remember Marty Harvey as being a beloved member of the community. And what I would describe as an introvert. Marty, if you're watching right now, I think you would agree. She's not outgoing, beating a drum of, whatever her particular soapbox things might be. But Marty, before I even really knew her well, 12 years ago, she and I were having a cup of coffee in Fellowship Hall, and she was telling me about a small company that she worked for, less than 30 people, where she herself noticed that there was not recycling in the office here in Alpharetta. And so she began encouraging people to put the recyclables, the plastic bottles, the aluminum cans in boxes, and she actually hauled them home because she lived in Roswell at the time and had curbside recycling things. Well, people started to take notice in this little office, and they themselves started doing that and taking things home. And it got to the point that it was so ridiculous, even with 30 people, that they encouraged their small building to become a recycling in all the offices, and then the whole building was doing it. That was up with one simple change. Marty not saying, hey guys, we really should recycle and hammering it home, but just by doing it herself, that really affected me. At the time, I was working at a big building downtown and happened to be working for the company that actually managed that and many other buildings downtown. So I thought, gosh, if Marty can do this, I certainly can put a bug in somebody's ear, and did. So Marty really kicked it off. The next person I'd like to note is Bruce Langston for his love of birds and water. Look at Bruce roll his eyes. I would say I didn't notice birds, but I didn't look at them the same way that I did after spending just a few minutes with Bruce one day talking about birds and him pointing out a couple of the local birds and who they were. But the best story I have about Bruce, and for all of you new people, Bruce is the one in the pink shirt down there on the end. If you are ever washing dishes a little bit too long, he will come behind you and turn off the water. I was really shocked one day when I was rinsing the dishes, he just turned it off. I was like, Bruce, come on. But I do think about when I'm running water. I do think about, gosh, what if Bruce were here? He would really have my head. So Bruce, thank you. You've saved me a lot of water. Laura Keck does not even know this. Laura's sitting in the back. Laura Keck and her husband Jerry work for Kimberly, who are working on recycle products for Kimberly-Clark. But one night we were having dinner and somebody mentioned, oh, the Kecks always have, because we were getting those white styrofoam containers at the restaurant, And they said, oh, we're the Kecks, they would have their own. They bring in their own stuff to take. And I was like, really? I'd never even thought of that. And since that time, I do my best, Laura, probably not as good as you do, but I do think ahead, like where are we eating, and we'll probably have leftovers, like Cheesecake Factory, right? That's really the one. Jennifer Philippi, with many of you know, I'm sorry she's not here today. Jennifer has really and truly affected change, not just in my household, but lots of families that we are friends of. I know Miriam and many in our circle joke about doing things in front of Jennifer, but eating meat was something that she really had turned me in. I was just eating poultry when I met Jennifer, and I totally went off of that and am now pescatarian for lots of reasons. But she was not preachy about it, but shared with us specific films and brought in a speaker. And actually, it was the speaker in person one night. And after that, I mean, that was, I think, 8 years ago. I won't say I've never had red meat. I'm sure I accidentally did at times. But I haven't and have never missed it since. So, and that was Jennifer, not being preachy. Her thing also is plastic and wood food waste, which I point to Bob Pop for food waste. My children, I think, Bob, you would have said it 10 years ago. We were on a camping trip, and Bob said to them, as they were starting to scrape their leftover food at the campsite, he said, hey, kids, you know the best compactor is actually right here. And they still do that. Now, Dylan can eat Presley's stuff too before it goes in, but honestly, they don't scrape very much into the garbage can from one comment that Bob Pop said 10 years ago, right? He didn't beat him over the head, well, not that I know of, but he did mention that. Rosie, I don't know if Rosie is in the audience, but I think she's outside. When I began my journey with being a pescatarian, I really was trying to do the tofu thing because I thought, oh, that's a great way, but I couldn't cook it properly. One comment from Rosie about properly draining it, like getting all the water out, and then she turned me on to, I wish I had the bottle, but I'm out, of I'll send it up, a smoked bottle that you use to stir it in and make it like more crispy. Totally was a game changer for me. Totally. And so because she shared that with me in an off comment, again, 6-7 years ago, that totally changed my own diet. Shelley Negrani, I know Shelley's in here somewhere, she is out there, and I know there's many of you that are helping and assisting with our beautiful gardens right now. Martina, thank you for sending out the notes and getting others involved. Shelley does not like to garden. Where is she? I don't see her. Is she still out there? Okay, Ashok's in here. Okay, good. She's in the nursery. Let me tell you what she said. Shelley, for many years, was out there weeding away with her headphones and her little dog out there. And I said, Shelley, you're such a great gardener. You really have a passion for this. And she said, I hate gardening. I said, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? She said, well, it's my one way. I feel like I need to be out here weeding and helping because roadside is so important, curbside appeal, to draw people in here. And I love UUMAN, and I want more people to come in. So I actually do like to garden. I thought, gosh, if Shelley can get out with her little dog and do that, I certainly can, because I actually like it. Kennedy, you know I'm not a crier, but I already had you in my notes. Kennedy has a true passion for thrifting, and you guys will be hearing more about this over the next 6 months from us in Earth Ministry. Kennedy has such a passion for thrifting. I've always enjoyed it, but the level she takes to thrifting is like unbelievable. In these times, and I'm sure we will be talking more about this through the pulpit and other places, it is even more important for us to be doing the right things for lots of reasons, right? The passion that she has and shared recently, 2 weekends ago, we took a group out thrifting, and Joanne, one of our newer members, had signed up with her family to do this, including two of her granddaughters, Ever and her sister, and we had such a great time, and they are here today, right? Is it for the first time, you guys? And I would like to say it is because of the fun we had that day and because of Kennedy's passion for thrifting. Would you agree? That's part of the reason. So these are just a few examples of people being a light, not a judge, being a model, not a critic, being part of a solution, not part of a problem, and that have majorly changed people's lives. I would be remiss if I did not mention my dear friend, Gus Haydorn. I would be up here all day if I shared all of the ways that Gus has changed how I view things, not just for the environment, but most especially how engaging, and it's on your list, with neighbors, community, and local government can influence change. I, like probably many of you, was very skeptical. How in the heck this could really be effective in a short and long-term way. But Gus has definitely changed my mind about that, and not by doing it by beating over my head, but by showing up and dragging me wherever I would go. And for that, I thank you, Gus, because you and many in this audience know it's not just me you have made a difference for, but this community and outside these walls, because he has shared that passion with others. As Brazilian novelist Paula Coelho, I believe is how you pronounce his name, says, the world is changed by your example, not your opinion. And I think that that is so apropos for what we're talking about now. Often we like to talk about what the right thing is to do, but the doing is really the place we're going to have the most effect. So, with that said, at this time, we're going to take a moment to circle the chosen commitments that we have put inside your order of worship. If you need one, we'll get you one. So this is, you know where Paul Simon said there are 50 ways to leave your lover? There are 21 ways, which you can make a difference beginning this week. And so what you'll do is circle the ones that you really think that you are interested in changing. We hope that you stretch yourselves. Don't choose something that you think is really for you, just not doable right now, but the things you really think that you have a shot at sticking to for the next 30 days. And if you will sign the bottom, if anybody needs a pencil, please, Melinda's passing out pencils right now. If you don't have anything to write with, please raise your hand. If you need one of these, let us know. Anybody need one of these? Okay. And then Bob and Gary will be collecting them. So again, don't circle anything you don't. These should be really near and dear to things. Choir, you're doing this too, right? Yeah. Okay, good. Okay. So, as my favorite Muppet, Kermit the Frog, says, being green is not always easy. But for the next 30 days, let's try this together. So I will just give you a heads up. If you are in UUMAN emails, I will be checking in with you on Fridays about this challenge. So we do have a bookend to this. And perhaps at the end of the 30 days, we'll do something in a second hour and talk about how this challenge went for you. So Bob and Gary will continue picking these up. And these will go in a database, just kidding. Can you imagine? So thank you. And remember, as the Dalai Lama said, if you think you're too small to make a difference, try sleeping in a tent with a mosquito. May we all be mosquitoes for the next 30 days.
everyone will join us in our closing hymn, 1074, Turn the World Around.
From the fire, living in the water. Come after the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around. Oh, so is life. Ah, so is life. Oh, so is life. Ah, so is life. You know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Oh, so is life a Fatima. So is life. Oh, so is life a Fatima. So is life. Water make the river, river wash the mountains. Fire make the sunlight, turn the world around. Heart is of the river, body in the mountains. Spirit is the sunlight, turn the world around. We are of the spirit, truly of the spirit. Only can the spirit turn the world around. Whoa, so is life a Fatima. Ha, so is life. Whoa, so is life a Fatima. Ha, so is life. Whoa, so is life a Fatima. Ha, so is life. Whoa, so is life a Fatima. Ha, so is life.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
In prayer, we find ourselves here in hope. In prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. We rise, humbly hearted, rise. Won't be divided, rise, with spirit to guide us, rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here.
Anxiety is contagious. Calm is contagious. And courage is contagious. Our lives ahead will almost certainly be deeply challenging as we face climate change. Yet, in the company of others, we can imagine and start living into a future that respects limits and treats humans and non-humans world with dignity, whatever unfolds. We can create that world, at least in fragments. With kindred spirits, we can create create calm, purpose, gratitude, and even joy in our lives now. And we can share these gifts. We can be the eye of the storm, creating calm and courage to shelter